What's up YouTube, WildLion Games here, and we have the review for Maximum Football 20, a college football game with both US and Canadian rules, loads of customization, and a whole lot more. This game has been around for a while, but I've never had the chance to check it out, and this year I actually finally decided to jump on the internet bandwagon for the game, see what it's all about, see what everybody's talking about. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more sports gaming content, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you need any music for content that you create, follow the link in the description below for Soundstripe and get 10% off your subscription. I've been using Soundstripe for, I don't know, like 3 years now probably, and I absolutely love it. Like I'm always kind of wary of those like content subscriptions, but I really do use it for my commercial shoots. I've used it for a few short films that I do on the side, and I've actually even used it for music for stuff on this channel as well. So anyway, on to the review. Maximum Football 20, the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's jump in. Alright, the good. Customization is awesome. All the teams are, loosely based off their real life counterparts, like, Tuscaloosa is obviously Alabama, and the color schemes match up. And so for each team, you can actually kind of, you can actually find like each team and what they really are, and you can go through and, really all you have to do is just rename them to their proper school name and mascot name. And then if you want to, you can also create the logos, because they actually have a logo creator, which is really cool. And if that doesn't suit what you're looking for, you can just create your own teams if that's what you want, because you can name them whatever you want, and then you can customize the jerseys, make some stripes up, helmet colors, jersey colors, all that type of stuff. Change your primary colors. The logo editor is really good, and so yeah, customization's pretty awesome. So I'm glad to see that Canucks Studios recognizes this, and they recognize the community loves creating players and creating teams, and so they included it in their games. It's especially important when you don't have an NCAA license, because then you give the community the power to create the NCAA themselves if they wish. Kind of like what the Backbreaker community does with, we've done it with NFL teams, NCAA teams, wherever you want. And same with Super Mega Baseball, creating some NCAA college teams, or even recreating the MLB. So I think that's really awesome they include it. So if you're into customizing, this is definitely something you should check out. I think a color wheel or a color grid would be a lot easier and quicker than using the RGB sliders. But other than that, maybe some like more in-depth jersey customization. But other than that, I mean, I don't really have any complaints about customization. Another good aspect of the game is recruiting, and this is easily the most attractable and marketable feature of the game, and honestly the most talked about feature among the community is this in-depth recruiting process. And it's kind of the sole reason I got the game in the first place, because I really wanted to check this recruiting out. I think I prefer this over NCAA 14's recruiting, simply because I like having the units of measurement being time instead of spinning points. I know that sounds small, but it just kind of feels more authentic in my opinion. But there's a ton to love here, from being able to see a prospect's top schools and where you stand, and making phone calls, soft or hard selling them on strong points of your school that align with their interests. And there's just a lot going on with recruiting, and you'll spend hours and hours just weekly trying to build out a recruiting strategy and build a strong recruiting class. The user interface is clean, it's easy to follow despite its unusually long loading times between screens. All in all, recruiting is a fun experience. Even the players that seem out of reach, I think they have potential to be snagged up if you can play the game correctly and play it smart. Ask the right questions, don't overdo it. If you just make really short phone calls, find a strong point that you guys can relate to, that's of high interest of your prospect, and I think you can slowly, week by week, bump that meter up. Just chip away at it little by little, especially if you're a small school with not a whole lot to offer. Dynasty Mode as a whole is pretty simple. It contains everything you're used to seeing and having. Without recruiting, I think it would be pretty bare bones, as the news feed is, it's mostly empty, and there isn't much there outside of looking at stats and rankings and either playing or simming your next game. So I'll also keep this next part in the good section, even though it has some functionality flaws. But the play designer is a really awesome feature that I just think needs a few tweaks, and I really hope the devs listen to this. And I also wish just more football games would add this in. It's a ton of fun to build your own passing concepts and run plays, and now even on the defensive side you can create plays, which is super dope. Having a play creator is an awesome feature, and if you're into managing a game, you won't want to miss out on this. But big but, there's two downsides, and I hope the developers can fix this in a patch, and if not, maybe it's something in the next iteration of Maximum Football 21 they could include. But so when you're designing a play, I immediately got really excited when I saw that you can assign read progressions for your quarterback on passing plays. I thought this was really intuitive to build a play and then also be able to create a read progression for the CPU QB. However, it doesn't really work. As you can see, the quarterback's just throwing. I made a simple rub concept, which is supposed to be a quick read, and the quarterback's just throwing it to the same receiver every single time. And even when I changed that receiver's progression to be the fourth read in his progression, he would still throw to him every single play. You can also change the drop back depth for your quarterback, but that doesn't really matter also. The rub route is essentially you have your one receiver running a slant and your two receiver running an arrow, and it's supposed to be really short, and they're supposed to be, you know, quote unquote rub against each other, creating confusion amongst the DB, and hopefully get a little bit separation. This is a quick read, it's a quick throw, and a lot of times this isn't even a three-step drop. It's just a one-step, and you're throwing to your slant or you're throwing to the arrow. And if it's not there, usually on the other side of the field, you're going to have a more longer developing play that the quarterback can then, you know, move his eyes to read. And if nothing's there, you know, he just runs, right? So unfortunately, setting the drop back to 3 steps doesn't make the quarterback throw the ball any sooner. He still holds on to the ball forever, and instead of throwing the slant or arrow immediately like you're supposed to, he just throws a deep ball. So while having the progression feature is nice, the CPU doesn't even use it, which is kind of a bummer, because I was really hoping I could jump into like the coach's seat, create a playbook, set my progressions for the pass play, and then coach a game and call plays, let the QB do his thing. But to build on that, even more unfortunate, you can only quick play you can only play or quick sim. There isn't an option to, you know, quote unquote coach the game where, you know, you sim but you're still calling the plays and then the computer runs the plays, you know, a la NFL head coach. Access Football actually has this feature, which I really like, and so I assumed it would be in Maximum Football, especially with some, you know, it has a play creator. So devs, if you're watching this, I think the ability to have an in-depth simulation experience where you could call the plays and then watch the CPU run them would be really fun, and I think it would complement the play creator within Dynasty Mode. All in all, the play creator is really cool, but once you realize the CPU can't read progressions that you assign, and you can't call plays for them anyways, so it kind of takes away the longevity of it. However, if you plan on playing the game, it is a lot of fun to play with the plays that you created. So yeah. Alright, the bad. The gameplay is bad. I'm gonna be honest here. This isn't a very fun game to play. It's kind of boring and it can be a little irritating, which is why I was hoping I could call plays and just let the CPU play it out. And I just don't even know where to begin because it's kind of a mess. There's so many fumbles in the game. There's some broken plays. The tackling and catching is horrible. And did I mention there's too many fumbles? And I hate to talk bad about the gameplay because I know this is a small independent studio. And I wouldn't even say small. This is like a micro development team who work very hard to create this game, and they make improvements every year. And I am in no way taking that away from them. And it's part of the reason I finally decided to try this game out, because I've never played any of the previous games before. But, you know, as you guys are aware, I'm very, like, anti-Madden. I don't think I've bought Madden since, like, 2013. That might have been the last one I bought. And so I was like, okay, so I'm doing my part there. I need to do my part and help out, you know, some of these other independent studios that are trying to make a game that the community wants. And so I feel bad trashing the gameplay, but I have to be honest. I mean, that's what I do. It just isn't good, and I think it's because I can't find any consistency with the player interactions. I know Access Football looks very similar and it runs similar, but I think it's a smoother game. And I think the players in Maximum feel like they have a little bit more weight to them than Access Football, but there's consistency in Access Football that I can rely on. Like, I know how players are going to move and react, and when I get into like a certain I don't know, when I get into like a certain space with another player, I know how they might collide, but I can't really figure that out. I can't find any consistency with Maximum Football. Even old PS1 football games have that sort of reliability to the animation system, no matter how clunky it looks. But Maximum Football just feels all over the place, and I can't find common ground with the gameplay. And I'm trying to enjoy myself, but I've honestly, by halftime, I just find myself wanting the game to be over already. And again, I really hate to say that to such a hard-working team that's really, you know, doing a whole lot to give the community what they want. But I'm happy to support, and I'm happy to help make the game better. But just know coming into this, like, I have to give, you know, I'm going to do a review. I've played the Access 20 beta, and on the beta alone, I'm going to have to give gameplay, you know, spoiler alert, I'm going to have to give the gameplay advantage to Access here. Football is a hard game to create. It really is. Like, video games are tough, and with all the collisions that happen in the sport of football, it's hard to recreate in a video game. But Maximum Football still has a way to go. The ugly. Honestly, there really isn't anything ugly about the game. I don't have any glaring issues with it. It's an improvement from previous iterations from my understanding. I don't really have an opinion of my own since this is my first Maximum Football game. As you can see, you know, the graphics are, you know, somewhere stuck in like the PS1 days, but they look fine. The helmets actually look really sharp. I have to laugh because the player models look like some Bob's Burgers characters with their like long necks and little pooch bellies, but you know, graphically it's fine. I'm indifferent about it. I think it almost kind of has like this old school red. So as you all know, I rate my games on a obscure scale that relates to real world examples, and I don't really follow like a numerical scale. But I rate Maximum Football 20, watching your kid play Pop Warner football. So I don't have kids, but you know, I played Pop Warner growing up, and I know one day when I do have kids, you know, they'll hopefully be playing youth football. And I've watched my younger cousins play in like the 4th and 5th grade. Maximum Football 20 is a lot like watching youth football. You're excited for your kid, right? You enjoy watching him play. He's out there, he's learning, he's growing, he's playing with his friends. But ultimately, deep down, you just can't wait for the game to be over, right? You know, you can't wait. Not that you can't wait for the game to be. You can't wait for him to be in high school, where, you know, the game looks faster, everyone on the field knows what they're doing, the skill level is just better in general, and I think that's where Maximum Football 20 stands right now. It's exciting to see them grow and make strides, but fundamentally there's a lot of work that needs to be done if they want to play at that varsity level one day. Right now, the game is $30 on Xbox and the PlayStation Store. Personally, I don't really feel it's a $30 game, but that's that's for you to decide based on this information in the review and other reviews, and you know, you're just your own personal budget. But I hope this review helps you make a buying decision, and if anything, you can always support the game either by purchasing it or also just not buying Madden is another way to help the football industry. But seriously, Canuck Studios allow us to call plays and have a more involved like simming experience. If you could do it in a patch, awesome. If not, add that in 2021, because I would definitely purchase the game in 2021 if I could do that. Your recruiting formula is really cool. The play creator, customization, all of that is really awesome. So I think if you added something as small as that, you could have a really fun like coaching simulator if the gamer chose to play that way. So, but you know, good luck with the game. Keep up the hard work. I know everybody really appreciates it. That's it for my review. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and you all have a great week. Peace.